to share
No, and it's
your
great for people to
opinions.
hear. Oh, hello.
We did it. We made it. Glory to God. Here we are.
Hi,
Hello,
Joy.
hello. Joy is here. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I was just gonna you asked how I was, and I was just gonna share I was just sharing like um orthodoxy often feels like you just keep peeling layers off the onion, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
keeps peeling away. And there was another big layer that kind of peeled away. And you know, it's kind of related to this comment I read. There was a priest's wife today. She commented and she said, "So is the internet over? Because I don't want to have interactions. I don't want to talk to things that are just bots. And if the whole world is bots online, I don't want to do it anymore." And she's
Hmm.
like, "If the bots are getting that good, I'm just gonna back out of it, you know." And it kind of triggered something a little more, a bit more of an existential realization for me, as far as like, I grew up on the internet as the internet was growing up.
Hmm.
Right. So I was on the internet from like age 17, and that was like before most people even knew what the internet was, let alone
Right.
how to get there.
Yeah.
So what I told my wife was like, when I got on the internet, it was a bunch of like nerdy, dorky dudes who couldn't fit in their local community, who all of a sudden found a way to find other people who were weird and dorky in their little town.
Yeah.
And it was a huge relief, because it was like, oh wow, I didn't feel so isolated. I could connect with people. The downside of that is that I spent too much time online, and so all of my social a lot of my social interaction in high school and in
Or
college,
development.
and
Or development.
my development was on the internet, where you spend your time arguing with other smart people.
Hmm.
That's not a good way to live your life. And it's not a good way to like learn how to integrate,
Yeah.
right? Like, I already felt kind of mm, isolated and separate and weird. Finding other people who are isolated, separate, and weird, and then arguing with each other is not a good way to be socialized.
Yeah. Like I was talking to someone on Discord today, and they answered a question that I had posed a few days ago. And they were using very technical theological terminology. And I said, I don't
Mm.
know what that whatchamacallit thing is, but you know, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you give me an example? And
Mm.
the reason I asked that question is because if you can't think of an example, it hasn't entered into your everyday life.
Yes. Right.
Okay. It's just a
Right.
thought. It's just
Right.
out here.
Yeah.
It has a definition, but like I actually said, if you were to encounter this, long word, what would it look like?
Mm. Yeah.
Right?
How would
Because,
you see this in someone else?
well, it has to be grounded. It has
Yeah.
to have an existence in the world. Otherwise, it isn't real.
Right.
And anyways, when the conversation went on about, the difference between this and that, and then angels entered the conversation. Well, this is
Mm.
kind of like the idea of what an angel. And I said, oh, don't think about them too hard, or
Yeah.
it's much easier to see them when you don't think about them too hard.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I just was reminded of that when you were saying how, you're 17, you're basically trying to outsmart everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm.
game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Outsmart.
Right. Yeah.
And you can do that. There's like dictionaries, with words and
Yeah.
semantics. You can
Yeah.
go there,
And you're in debate club, and you learn all these
Yeah,
skills
but
and rhetoric and how to write and all that stuff. Yeah.
where are you actually meeting these things, and
Yeah.
what do they look like?
Right. Well, and I will say, so we had a local community. It was pre-internet. There was a thing called a BBS, so it was bulletin board system, and it was
Mhm.
like someone would set up their computer, hook up a phone line to it. You could call and connect to their computer with your computer. And it was like a local kind of chat board, but you usually could, it was more like message forum. You couldn't really talk to other people unless they were a particularly wealthy person who had more than one phone line that they could hook up to their computer, right?
Right.
But most of them were just you post messages and other people post messages. But it was your local area because back then you had to pay money if you wanted to call somewhere not
Else.
in your local area. Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people couldn't afford
Yeah.
that. So anyway, I got involved in one of those communities, and I've been involved there for a year and had conversation with people and got to know people, and and then they had a in real life IRL meeting.
Mm.
We're gonna have a barbecue. Cool. And you
Yeah.
go together, and it was really crazy because you build this whole idea of who someone is, and then you meet them, and they're very different than this person you've built in your head. And it was kind of disorienting.
Mm.
But at the same time, after having that meeting, then going back to the message board, I had more context, but the whole tone kind of changed, right? Like,
Yeah, because you're reading with your voice until
yes,
you meet them. And now you're reading with their voice.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I could, and I knew, well, basically, it humbled me because I realized I was talking with a lot of people who were way smarter than me and way more experienced and had been around for a long time. And maybe I should just sit down and shut up a little more,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But so it was a good lesson, but it was still it was almost cognitive dissonance,
How old were
when
you
you
then? How old were you?
17.
Oh, yeah, that would have been
Yeah. So
I
I'm
told you
talking
about
to
me.
guys who are like 50s, in their 50s, who have like a PhD in history, and I'm talking about, you know, my my view of
And they
American
were
history.
probably having cognitive dissonance when they met you because you're smart, you
Well,
know? They were probably like, "He's not even graduated high school. What the hell?"
well, yeah, then they were just like, no, it was more like, oh, okay, that's fine. I understand now. They were actually very charitable.
Oh, that's
I
good.
had a couple of them who kind of took me under their wing as mentors, like
Nice.
yeah, it was good. I actually had some good friendships that came out of that.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was, I guess, to tie it back to what I was saying, is like, I now that I've been Orthodox for a few years and some of the false identity is starting to
Mm,
die and going through death throes, and you have this whole I had this whole framework that had built up for understanding what another person was, understanding, like, thinking I knew how to make friends or how to win people over or how to convince people or persuade people. And now I'm realizing I was so wrong and so off in so many ways, in very fundamental ways. I used to see people as computers, and that I could convince them with logic and reason, and if I just had enough evidence. And clearly, if they understood my argument, they would see things my way. And if they don't see things my way, it's because they don't understand my argument. I just need to talk more.
and there had to be also I mean, the only thing that motivates you to try to convince someone is that you think you're right, no?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
always.
Yeah. So
Right.
so and then when you live like that, you're like
Yeah.
my big Percheron when we take him out to do stuff, we put blinders on him so that the world that he lives in right now is the world of pulling the sleigh or dragging the log or pulling the wagon.
Yes.
Because if he's aware of the world at the rest of the world, we're in trouble because he's gonna go sideways and,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
kinds of things, right? So we just put the blinders on, and that way he goes in this one direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of what thinking you're right does to you, I think.
Yes. And it's very hard on your relationships. And
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
will I will I will confess I was probably around the age of 40 before I realized that relationships are more important than facts.
Well, I wasn't a facts person, but I don't even know how to explain it. I had such strong feelings about things because I was very intuitive that, and I thought I kind of was coming at it from a weirder perspective, but it wasn't that much different. I was really excited about everything that I was knowing, right? But I was knowing it like knowing it, right? I was actually encountering things. That's how I do it.
Participating, yeah, right.
And then I would come along and I would tell someone, right, the thing I know, and they'd go,
"How do you know that?"
First of all, it didn't make sense to them because it was, you know, and then the more I tried to talk about it, the more I would have this. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, if I met someone who was like Anam Cara, which is, I'm reading through that book right now, you know, John O'Donoghue's book, Soul Friend, then it would click and we would fall into this just recognition of each other, like as if we've already always known each other or something like that. But people that I didn't have that experience with, it was like they would get really uncomfortable around me.
Right.
And I remember reading a Rilke poem. I think Luke Thompson sent it to me, actually. It was from Letters to a Young Poet, where he says, "Don't frighten people with your joy." And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was doing most of the time. I was totally frightening them. They couldn't understand it, you know, like, and maybe it was a paradoxical kind of joy. Like, my husband always accused me of having a morbid curiosity about death. You know, but I just found it fascinating because I saw it as an inverted thing, right? I saw it as life. And I would get really excited about this and I'd start talking and people would just get like super uncomfortable. It wasn't really great for relationships, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, people don't have a lot of context for understanding. Say that again.
I felt like Edgar Allan Poe most of the time, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or they're just like, bro, like, calm down. Or have some coffee.
Why does everything have to be so existential, Sherry?
Yes.
Because it is.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't care about details. That was the other thing. So if anybody was detailed oriented, I was like, oh, that doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
I could see about, like, that to me was getting stuck in the weeds. If you start talking about the details, and I was always like, big picture,
Yeah.
you know? I'm not saying I was right. Like, I wasn't always right. I was very often wrong. Very wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard part. And I also have realized, and mainly this is from running into this little corner of the internet, that I'm definitely a verbal processor and that most people are not.
Yeah, that too.
And that was also difficult for me in my relationships because I wanted to just like hash stuff out. And that's not how most people work. And I didn't know that for a long time. I didn't really understand that, you know?
So
it just
incessant little chatterbox.
Oh yes. Yeah. I was like, I was like a walking TED Talk.
I feel you.
You know? I still feel that way with my kids sometimes. I'm always just like, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. Because you can kind of see them start to
their eyes glaze over.
Yeah, and they're being polite, you know, they're being respectful, but you're just like, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Let's just let's have some dessert.
Yeah.
Play a game. Pull out the dice.
I was trying to explain something to my son the other day. He made the mistake of asking me a question. And I'm like, are you ready for this? It's going to take like an hour and a half. And he's like, Mama, you're way up. I said, I know. Forget it. Let's just stop talking. No, he said, no, let's try and get there. And that was really good for me because that's something that I'm not good at, is like I actually said that in my talk at South Estuary. I'm trying to widen out these circles a lot more slowly and intentionally, because what I often do is I don't finish a thought. I'm already on to the next one, and then I know where I'm going, but nobody else
Right.
does.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just like, and it goes right. So, anyways, we're all learning, Jeremy. We're all learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's at this juncture, we're at this part of my life. I'm at a place where now it's like some very fundamental assumptions I had about people and about how the world works and myself are all kind of going away for various reasons, and you're kind of in a bit of an adrift. I'm kind of in an adrift, like floating a little, like disoriented, but it's a really good place to be. It's really comfortable disorientation
Yeah.
for whatever. That's a paradox in itself.
It is.
But
Yeah.
it's like letting go of stuff that isn't relevant anymore, right? It's like a lot of the frameworks that I built when I was young made sense when I was young because I lived in a very different environment. But now I've lived in a stable environment long enough that I can finally start letting go a lot of that stuff.
And not feeling like you're going adrift.
Right. And not feel like I'm getting lost
Yeah.
or that I'm losing anything.
Yeah.
It's more like it's a relief. It's like, wow, I don't have to think about this anymore. I don't have to worry about this, or I don't have to act like this anymore. I
But
can just
don't you think, Jeremy, that you have to do that? Like, you have to go through that in order to know what it feels like to let go.
Yes. Oh,
You know
for
what
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's like, I was talking to a friend today, and she said to me, she had a really, really, really bad experience in her church community, and it was painful. Like, it was unfair. It was painful. It was terrible. But she's now at a point that she can look back on it, and she said to me, it was genius. Because she said, I would have made an idol out of it. So it forced her to let go in that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought, that's the perfect word. It is genius. Like, when you get that retrospect and you're able to look back, you're like, man, I don't think any other thing could have turned me around right at that moment in the direction I was headed. And it, this was what my whole South Estuary talk was about, to Noah, it looks like destruction. For the earth, it was renewal, right?
Yes. Right.
So, and that was one of the lines I had in there in that talk was like, what was it? I said something like, renewal is just code. It's just code for destruction.
Yeah. Right.
Because you don't get renewal if something isn't destroyed. But
Right.
it's not destroyed. It's not like blown up. It's not like a Monty Python, Mr. Smiths, please stand up.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that one?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's the Phoenix idea, right?
It's transfiguration.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right. Gandalf the Grey becomes Gandalf the White.
Yeah.
But he had to go to hell and fight Balrog first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Revelation must be terrible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was actually reading Revelation today, actually. And it was, the chapter, the Antichrist chapter, Revelation 13. And with the two beasts and, the beast and then the Antichrist, which is also a beast. But it says, he is allowed to war against the saints and destroy them, destroys beauty, destroys anyone who will not worship him, right? And it's just what you're talking about. Like, Father Turbo emphasizes this a lot. He's like, I keep trying to tell you guys this. We lose. we lose. That's the end of the story until the story starts over again, right? It's like, it's the whole the wheat, the thing that Christ says, the wheat has to die and fall into the ground for it to bear fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same idea, right? Like we're
Well, we lose on the surface. We appear to be losing.
right.
Is what he's
Yes.
saying. He's not saying we actually lose.
No. The
But
story, but it comes through renewal. It comes through,
right.
and we're just a little piece of it. We're just a little
If
piece of
you
the whole
if you
story.
save your life, you will lose it.
Right.
But if you lose your life, that's what Father Turbo's talking about. That's what the
Yes.
losing that he's talking about.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So
But
yeah.
the saints are like, they are wiped out at the end of the book of Revelation. Christ does come again. All
Mm-hmm.
things are restored. But there's the 3.5 years there where things are not good. And everyone's going to despair, and the patience will be tried, and they will be fleeing and hiding in small groups in the wilderness, right? It's like, there's never a time where it's going to be easy until the second coming. That's it. There's never a time where it's going to be like, oh, whew. Right? I think people keep having that sense of like, my wife loves making this point. She's always just like, it's always the last times. Every generation thinks they're the last generation. Every generation thinks Jesus is coming any minute, because as they get older, they become more aware of the evil in the world. And they're
Mm-hmm.
convinced that it's never been this bad, and that surely any minute it's going to end. And she's like, how many times has this happened? Like, calm down. You're not that special. It's probably not going to happen. Like, just prepare for your death. Don't prepare for this bigger apocalyptic vision. It's a
Yeah.
distraction, right? That's where she's coming from.
Yeah, no, me too. Like, I don't know. I never think that we live in the worst of times.
Yeah.
I just have to think back to the plague. I mean, not that I was there or anything, but can you imagine?
Yeah.
The
Half the
plague.
people die that you know.
Your whole village dies, your whole family,
Yeah.
you're an orphan. Like, yeah, everyone, your children and your husband and your widow. Like, in a
And your
world where
priest.
women can't
And
live alone, otherwise they starve to death, and you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, we do not live in the worst of times, actually. We live in
Right.
precarious times, definitely.
Definitely. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah,
Right.
but we also, have always lived in precarious times. It's like we always live on the edge, right, of
Yeah.
something. So
Right. Well, and it is an apocalypse. My wife is right too, that
yeah.
you are becoming more aware of the evil in the world as you get older. You get more sophisticated. You run into other people. Your view
Sometimes it starts
expands.
looking to me really lame, actually. I'm like, "Okay." The older I get, I'm like, "Couldn't you be a little more creative?" Like, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Pretty lame.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. There are, yeah, you do also see when you see some of the artifice and some of
Yeah.
the machinations behind the scenes. You're like, I was afraid of this. Okay. My friend always talks about that. He's like, you think that, they have some massive database that are tracking you. They do, but nobody knows how to query it, and the data's all screwed up, and the backup is broken, and even if they could get some meaningful answer out of the database, you're also assuming they could execute some grand plan of like uh, uh, tracking you down, and he's just
Yeah.
like, you're assuming a lot of competence that I don't know if you need to be that worried about it. It's like,
You know what
well,
you're reminding me of when you said the word artifice?
mm,
I was asked, okay, this is during I'm on the worship team at a church in Switzerland. Things are going wonderfully. As a worship team, we meet once a week for Bible study. We're reading a book by some guy in a church in the UK that was associated with the third wave charismaticism, and he wrote this book
mm,
on worship, and we're reading this book together. And for the first time in my life, and this is like 9 years into living in Switzerland, I'm feeling like I'm starting to get to know these people.
Mm.
And like Europeans are, generally speaking, distant unless you're
Mhm.
really close. And anyways, and then in the middle of all of that, I go to the Bible study one week, and there's one of the elders of the church sitting in there. I'm like, oh, is he joining the worship team? Like, that's me, right? Oh, goody, fun.
Yeah.
And then I get pulled off to the side. He's auditing our Bible study. I'm like, excuse me? Okay. So apparently we're stepping into some kind of like questionable territory here, right?
Mm. Mm.
And I'm looking at the guy, and he's we're talking with each other, and he's looking at us and taking notes. And I'm just like, no,
Like it's an anthropologist
this can't be. Yeah,
studying a foreign tribe, right? He's
this
like,
has never happened in our church before. People haven't cried. They've never hugged.
yeah. The
They've
one in
never
the red
prayed
pants
for
is
one
going for coffee twice. What could this possibly mean?
Oh, no. And
Right.
then, anyways, then he comes with a report to the head guy, who's not a pastor, because they don't have pastors, because they don't know how to pastor.
Mm.
Okay, he's the
Yeah.
teacher.
Right.
And then he basically has a meeting with the guy who's hosting this, who is an elder, another elder.
Mm-hmm.
So now this eldership has come into question, and the guy ends up leaving the country. He was English. He moved back to England. He was so hurt by it all.
Mm.
And I found myself sitting in this teacher's office going, I don't understand. I thought I'm talking to someone who would understand me, right? You have to know that. And I'm telling him all the incredible things that have been happening in the fellowship that we've been having. And people have been coming up to us and telling us the worship music is amazing and all this stuff.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, and I'm like, and I remember doing this. I'm like, where is the love? Where is the love? And I looked into his eyes, and I felt like I was looking at the dragon that chased the woman into the wilderness. I'm just like, oh my God, this is where it's all coming from. This guy. Right? Okay, all that story to say, they asked me shortly afterwards, somehow I was exempt from the excommunication of several people, to sing a song at church. Just me and my guitar. And I really didn't want to. I was angry. I was hurt. I felt like the whole thing was really wrong. And so, with a very resentful spirit, I sang a song by Bruce Coburn, and it's called Fascist Architecture. And it says here, I'll read you the lyrics. Fascist architecture of my own design. Too long been keeping my love confined. You tore me out of myself alive. Those fingers drawing out blood like sweat. While the magnificent, and this goes right back to what you were saying in the beginning. While the magnificent facades crumble and burn, the billion facets of brilliant love, the billion facets of freedom turning in the light, bloody nose and burning eyes, raised in laughter to the skies. I've been in trouble, but I'm okay. Been through the ringer, but I'm okay. Walls are falling, and I'm okay. Under the mercy, and I'm okay. Bloody nose and burning eyes, raised in laughter to the skies. I've been in trouble, but I'm okay. And then he says, gonna tell my old lady, gonna tell my little girl, there isn't anything in the world that can lock up my love again. That's the song I sang to my church. They're all like, listening to it.
Yeah. Not quite sure how to.
Well, they never had the experience, Jeremy. That was not their experience. They never had God never tore them out of themselves alive. His fingers never drew out blood like sweat, right? The magnificent facades never crumbled and burned, let me tell you.
Right.
No.
Right.
So that was
yeah.
I just confessed. I've never told anybody really how I was feeling when I sang that song, and I wasn't feeling very loving, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It felt like more like a righteous anger. Like, I was just like, all right, you guys,
Yeah.
let's get
Yeah.
rid of these
Well,
facades and this fascist architecture. Okay.
yeah. You know what, though? I have to say this as someone who overshares and talks too much. It's ironic because I also firmly believe that good fences make good neighbors, right? And I think this goes to what you were talking about too earlier, where you were talking about you were frightening people with joy. You can
Mm.
also frighten people with being at peace,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
don't know where it's coming from or why. And when you reveal that, it puts the spotlight on their lack of that, and it can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people, you know.
Mhm, mhm,
And so this goes back to, again, like, I think both of us grew up a little feral, and learning how to kind of
mhm.
meet people where they are instead of trying to present the grand view of the universe, you know. And that
I
just takes
love the
practice
grand
and
view of
time.
the
And
universe,
what's
Jeremy.
that?
Don't take I'm like,
Yeah,
I love that. Just don't
I
take
know, I know. No, I understand, really, I do.
I know you do.
You know, but I mean, I had this talk with my grandmother when I was 17, right? And
Mm.
she's like, "You're up here and we're
Mhm.
all down here, and I'm sure it's beautiful up there, but you need to live with us down here." Like, she saw this.
Yeah, beautiful.
She was a wise woman.
Grandmothers are wonderful.
Yeah, God bless. Lord have mercy, and please remember Dora, my grandmother. May her memory be eternal. She was
Yes.
she was a good woman. But anyway, yeah, no, it just took me a long time to even learn what that meant and learn where I was screwing it up. You know, I just didn't. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
didn't get
but,
it.
I just refuse. I maybe this is the, rebel in me, but I often thought, "You can't make me like you. I'm not
No,
like you." And
no,
I don't wanna talk about every like, I don't mind getting grounded. Like I said to you
right,
earlier, like, when this person threw this big word at me, I'm like, "Well, what does that look like? If I was to meet that on the street, what it would what would it look
yeah,
like?"
yeah,
Because I don't have that kind of vocabulary, so I need, like, grounded examples of things, right?
right,
But, I mean, this life is really not it's not like, the depth and the breadth and of this life is it like I said in my talk, it's abundant, right? It's
yeah,
huge. It's
yeah,
huge.
right,
And I just see it being spoken of here and there and just in the things around me, you
yeah,
know? And so I don't wanna just talk about I mean, I can just talk about the garden as a vegetable garden,
right.
but I could also tell you about compost and how it's just like your spiritual life.
Yes, yeah,
And that's really what I wanna talk about. I wanna
right,
talk about that, right?
yeah,
More than
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah,
My
yeah.
grandmother, who I really relate to, my Finnish grandmother, she used to say to my father, "You're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good."
Woo.
He was always trying to convert her,
Yeah,
and she
that's
wouldn't give him an inch.
right.
And I mean, she wasn't refusing God, she was refusing to let him have the satisfaction of thinking that he had
Yeah,
converted her,
right,
that she
right.
kept that private, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, mhm,
Yeah. Mm.
and yeah, yeah. But we're gonna talk about an amazing woman,
Yeah.
and
And I was gonna read about it, but I've changed my mind again. I am gonna share the clip, but we're gonna have to
awesome.
interrupt it a
Yeah,
few times
let's
so
do
that
that, yeah.
YouTube doesn't flip out. So we don't
Okay.
get copy struck for
Well,
it. So
every time I just wanna say this in advance. Every time I, read or hear anything about Saint Olga, I weep.
mm, yeah.
It happened to me today when I was listening to the thing you sent.
Mm, yeah.
Joy says, "The spiritual life does not mean being in the clouds while saying the Jesus prayer. It means discovering the spiritual laws as they apply to one's own position, one's own." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Father Seraphim Rose.
Yeah. Well, Father Paul gave us that advice when he was on the show a few weeks ago, when he said, the best thing you when you're reading the lives of the saints and you're reading the scriptures, the best thing you can do is just try to live what you're reading.
Yeah.
You try to emulate.
And I have a whole bunch of things I want to say about this afterwards, but I really want to.
Okay.
We need to involve Saint Olga in this conversation.
Yes.
And but Marcus from Econ Playground, he did a talk recently, a video. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's on his channel. It's called Econ Playground, ECON, and it's called Creedal Incompleteness, I believe, and it's about church governance. And he goes through. It sounds really boring, but you know what? This is something I have really considered. It was very key in my returning to some kind of submitting to some kind of church authority in my life, which I was very reticent to do because I'd had lots of bad experiences, lots of like traumatic church authority experiences in my life. That one that I described earlier was like the least of them. Okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't even, but yeah. So for me, making that leap into a commitment to the Orthodox Church in my life, it took me a long time to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and I didn't even, I can't get into it, but I do want to talk about this because one of the things that Michael Martin mentioned to me after North Estuary, and then again, he reiterated it at South Estuary, was the amount of religious trauma that he sees in those places. And I'm like, yeah. And hello.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And he wrote a really good Substack, actually. I think he wrote 2 since he got back, but this one was the first one. I think it was the one about South Estuary. Anyway, I'm going to go way off track. Sorry, Jeremy. Okay. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the big thing.
It's all good. It's good. Yeah. Let's talk about myself in. Yeah, no, I do want to share this because this is a beautiful account. So what we're going to watch is a priest who knew Matushka Olga when she was alive.
Personally.
He wasn't her personal priest, but he knew her well, and Alaska is a small world, and so he knew her really well. And he is since in repose, so Father Michael has also passed. So we're going to hear him just a year ago telling the story of how they realized they needed to discuss canonizing Matushka Olga. And it's a beautiful account. We are going to stop it a couple times. We'll probably say a few things just to keep the AI satisfied with us, not just
the AI serpent seeking whom he may devour.
Yeah, exactly right. Whoops. Yeah. So
and I just want to say, please don't leave for this part. Like really, like this is so powerful.
This is very powerful. Yeah, it's very beautiful. So I will bring this up. I shared this with my wife today. She hadn't heard it, and she was also very moved by it. Yes. So this is very good stuff. Okay, can we see it?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Okay. All right. And I'll go back to the beginning. And there are subtitles too. So
I just wanted to add one thing, Jeremy.
Oh, yep.
Sorry.
No, fine.
Father Michael Oleska was also married to a Yupik woman.
Yes.
So
that's good context.
He's very intimately aware of the culture and the life. Matushka Olga her husband was Yupik too, right?
Yes.
He wasn't white. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to add that. So because Father Michael is speaking from also his own experience, like he's speaking from that place, right?
Yeah. Yes, having been part of that culture his whole,
Yeah. Whole
his
life.
whole married life at least. So anyway.
Yeah.
Of all places, not in Alaska at all. From my perspective, it starts in Christ the Savior Parish in Paramus, New Jersey. I was there.
What?
I was there to serve a liturgy and to visit my friends there, and I was at the adult class that they had before the liturgy. The adults, 30 or 40 men and women, mostly married couples, and at the end of the church school session, they asked the parishioners who were there, do you have any questions for Father Michael? And one of the men said, yes, I want to know what Alaska is like. Well, as Father Nick could testify, there's like no answer to that question. What do they mean by what is it like? Do they want to know about the tribes, the cultures, the people, the geography, the geology? How many volcanoes do we have? Where are our rivers and glaciers? That would not have been particularly edifying. So I said, Alaska's like this. And I told the story, a short story about Matuszka Olga. I said, she's a woman who lives in a four-room house with a wood stove that gets very cold at night, and she gets up every morning and lights the wood stove and the vigil lamp, and she says her prayers, and she makes breakfast for her 8 children. Knowing her for so many years and knowing that she was like a modern Tabitha, a modern Dorcas, she was never idle. She was always sewing.
Dorcas,
she was
right.
always knitting. And only to give away. She gave away boots. She gave away hats. She gave away scarves. She gave away mittens. No one visited her house without receiving some gift from her hands. And she became seriously ill.
Hold on, I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah, sure.
Because I just love, this is his explanation of what Alaska is.
Yeah.
Alaska is an old mother who lives in a 4-bedroom cabin who gets up to make food for her 8 kids and who's knitting constantly. She makes the fire. She says the prayers, right? It's like, it makes me want to move to Alaska. He's not, he talks about the geography and like the weather and, and that's what most people think about with Alaska. But I love that his illustration of Alaska is the loving, selfless service of a mother who just quietly is constantly busying herself with giving, making her, giving things away for other people. It's just it's a beautiful image, and it's a beautiful way of looking at the world,
Yeah, and never idle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was never idle, and I think it's a beautiful way that the Father Michael is looking at the world as well, where
Right.
he's not seeing the world in facts about Alaska, and those things can be interesting, but it's like his main point of Alaska is this hidden, humble, beautiful culture.
Yeah, because Alaska is this person. This person is Alaska.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's just it only gets better from here. Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Diagnosed with cancer, and 2 of her daughters went to Kodiak that summer and prayed at Spruce Island at the grave of St. Herman of Alaska. And by the time they got home, just a few days later, their mother was out of bed and walking around, and her cancer went into remission for several years. And then she became sick again, and she began giving instructions to her family on how to bury her. She wanted to be buried in her wedding gown. She told them not to cry for her, but she was going to be fine. But spiritually, she was prepared. The day of her death, the village priest, her husband had already died, so the village priest, a younger priest, came to the house, brought her the Holy Mysteries. She sat up in bed. She received Holy Communion. She lay down, folded her arms across her breast, closed her eyes, and fell asleep in the Lord. It was the kind of death we pray for, a Christian ending to our life, painless, blameless, and peaceful.
We'll stop again right there for a sec. That's another really, that's such a blessing. One, she knew, and then to be able to just partake of the Eucharist and then just lay down and.
Well, you know what blew me away about that part? Since we're going to break this video up,
yeah,
talk a little bit.
Good.
This is fair use, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that she wanted to be buried in her wedding dress. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote this in 2024. Bury me in my wedding dress. It's a poem. Bury me in my wedding dress, the thing that I wore on that day, when looking you saw inside of me, and I could not look away. Bury me in my wedding dress, a veil that covered my shame, that carried the children I gave you and bound us with a new name. Bury me in my wedding dress, the crown that made me a queen, that gathered the sum of my being up into realms unseen. Bury me in my wedding dress, not for marriage's sake, not for these institutions, but for the image it makes. Bury me in my wedding dress, the image I proudly bore, the nocturne of earthly dwelling, the cup from which I poured. Bury me in my wedding dress. And then when I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had to share that.
Yeah. No, that's
But I think that any woman who knows that, I don't want to exclude anybody in this, but there's a sense of when you make that commitment, especially for women, you're committing to somebody who has, I'll just put it this way, more upper body strength than you do.
right.
Okay. So, and you rely on that person to be a good person, but also to do all the things that require that upper body strength. Right. And all you can do for them is pour from that cup of gratitude. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a totally different, well, I don't know what it's like, honestly. My husband and I haven't done it really, living in a place where, let's say, I had an education and I was earning more money than he does. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that feels to a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that they can figure that out. But the life that we've led has been one of total physical and reliance on one another. He needs me to be a traditional wife, like traditional in the sense that I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, right? Because he's working his ass off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Breaking his body. My husband's had open heart surgery. He's had a hip replacement. He needs another one and hernias.
Mm.
That's all from labor.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the heart thing, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it didn't really help, But anyway, so yeah, there was a young woman I met at South Estuary. She was in my, I found out at the barbecue that her and I were in the same estuary group. And she had just made a huge metanoia in her womanly life, where she realized that she was on this feminist path for the longest time, and she realized, no, this is really not it. I need to turn here. I need to turn. So I put my arm around her. I said, good, we're in the same estuary group. I can teach you how to be a trad wife. I was joking, but not joking.
Right.
Yeah. Like this is a point of that good pride, that we're called to have in the things that are good, as a woman for me. And I will change my, do the, the typical internet thing and say, well, change my mind,
Yeah. Right.
Just try
it. Yeah.
Anyway, we can go on, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Because wait, I just
Whoop,
want
whoop. Oh, I
I'm so
jumped.
I'm
I
sorry.
clicked the wrong button. No, it's okay.
Just hang on there because
Yep. Good.
the sacred is not special,
Mm.
if that makes any sense. It's the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
mundane.
Yes.
You know, and I think I was in a conversation years ago with Yosef and they were talking about the secret and the mundane, and I just wrote, home is where the mundane becomes sacred.
Mm.
And he was just like, that's perfect. That's that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, you know, it's not surprising to me that Matushka Olga lived out her sainthood as a wife and a mother, because God, it's not an easy job.
Right.
Okay. So there you go.
Love it.
And peaceful. And the wind began to blow. Everything had frozen because it was early November, but the wind blew and the ice on the river melted, and people came to her funeral by boat. And the grave givers had no difficulty. Usually you have to chisel through the frozen ground by that time of year, but they had no difficulty digging her grave and preparing her burial site. In the Yupik manner, at the end of the funeral, they took her coffin to the graveyard, but a flock of birds followed them. We have no birds in November. They're smart enough to leave in August. But in her case, we don't even know where those birds came from, but they followed the procession to the cemetery, and the people sing Paschal hymns until the grave is filled in. And then the wind began to blow again. And the people hurried to their boats and returned to their villages, and that night the river froze. It was as if the earth itself had opened up to receive her. And that's the story I told in Paramus.
That line that he said there was just pristine.
Mm.
It was as if the earth had opened up to receive her.
Mm-hmm.
That was just perfect.
Yeah. And the birds, I mean, the flock of birds following them to the graveyard, and then they were singing Paschal hymns while they fill in the grave. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had a friend who dug his wife's grave when she died.
Mm.
And and he wanted to do it alone.
Oh, wow.
You know, all of his buddies wanted to help him, and he's like, nope. And it took him many hours.
Yeah.
And then after the funeral, he stayed there and buried her by himself.
Wow.
He waited until everyone left, and he was alone, and he buried her. And that really connected with me with this story.
Yeah.
Where it was like the devotion and everyone. What's beautiful too is that the news spread so fast that everyone dropped what they were doing, and then the winds came.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinooks, you would call them, right? The Chinooks came and melted the ice real quick, and they were all able to come and celebrate, and mourn at the same time, the joyful sorrow, you know, and to be together to bury her properly, you know, and then it was over, and they all had to get back.
Mm-hmm.
But they had that moment to come together where they did, and to see that so many parts of reality were participating in that offering and that celebration and that coming together, that communion. You know, it's just it's a beautiful story. And
that all of creation participated in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay, I will go back, and here we go.
I said, that's what Alaska's like. 20 years later, I got a letter from a woman who was not Orthodox, not Christian, in fact, an American woman who had married a man from India and had been married in a Hindu ceremony. But she had been seriously abandoned, abused, neglected, harmed as a child. And she was seeing a professional counselor about the trauma that she had suffered, and she had a vision. She said, I don't know if I was awake or asleep, but it was vivid. I was suddenly in a birch forest, and the Theotokos, the Virgin Mary, exited the forest, came toward me, and walked past me, signaling that I should look behind her. And behind her was a smaller woman who gestured for me to follow her through the birch forest. So we came through the birch forest, and she came to what looked like a hill, but it wasn't a hill. It was what we would call in anthropology in Alaska a barabara, a traditional sod house that people lived in for centuries, for hundreds of years before modern Western civilization arrived. And so she said she called it then the hill house. We went inside the hill. And she described the fragrance, how it smelled in there.
Sorry, just for a second. I just have to mention, this reminded me of the Hobbits so much. It was so beautiful, right? Like she went into the little Alaska Hobbit house, with Matushka Olga, and even the smells are very similar to what Tolkien described in Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just
no.
I definitely connected with that when I was listening to this earlier.
And the interior was illuminated with bowls made of stone lamps, which are the traditional lamps that we had also before European contact. And this woman gestured for me to lie down, and she treated me as if I were giving birth, except I wasn't pregnant. And all the pain, all the darkness in my body that I had suffered as a child from the abuse I had suffered left my body. I felt whole and cured. And she helped me up, and we went outside, and the northern lights were dancing in the sky. And there was a fire, and she served what we would call tundra or Labrador tea. And she described how it smelled and how it tasted, and she was exactly on target. She knew what she was talking about, although she'd never been to Alaska, had never seen a barabara, had never studied anthropology or known anything about stone lamps or tundra tea. In any case, she said, these northern lights are a sign from God of his ability to create great beauty where there had been only darkness and desolation. Mm. And then she started to walk back into the forest to disappear. And this woman having the vision called after her, who are you? What's your name? And she said something indistinct that she didn't understand, Olga. So she went to her therapist and told this story. And her therapist was an Orthodox Matushka. She asked her, is there a Saint Olga? Yes, there's a Saint Olga. Is there an icon? Yes. So they found an icon of the Princess of Kiev, Olga. She said, that's not the woman I met. This woman was not a Greek princess or a Ukrainian princess. Well, is there another Saint Olga? And it just happened that this Matushka Lynn Breck, the wife of Father John Breck, said, well, Father Alexa just wrote about this woman in Alaska, Matushka Olga. And she said, that's the name. What's that? What does that mean? And she explained, well, Matushka is the priest's wife, meaning little mother. So this lady from upstate New York wrote me a letter and asked me for a photograph of Matushka Olga. And I have several. But I received her letter the day before I was leaving the United States for a year's sabbatical in Moscow. And I had no chance to find a photograph or answer her request. So I went off to Russia for the year. When I returned, I went to my wife's village, and Matushka Olga's children all lived there. They showed me letters from this same woman that I had received from the year earlier. And they said, what should we do? And I said, well, do you have a picture of your mom in a group with other women? And they said, yeah, sure, we do. Well, I would send this woman a copy of one of those. And so they sent this woman a copy of a photograph with Matushka Olga and 5 or 6 other ladies. Some were school teachers, some were other Yupik ladies, elders from the village, from Kuislok. And The woman recognized Matushka Olga immediately. She said, that's the woman who appeared to me in my vision, in my dream, except she was much younger when I saw her.
Amazing.
And this woman has come to Alaska, has visited Matushka Olga's grave in Queesluk, and has painted icons of her. And
That's
of course, she's
amazing.
overjoyed at the news that Matushka Olga will be glorified as a saint.
Hmm.
So that's
just to say, I have Labrador tea upstairs in my cupboard that my niece got collected for me and gave me, because the elders in Nimaya also collect it as a healing. Yeah.
wow. Yeah, this it's the more we read the lives of the saints, the more you just run into this stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my old materialist self just would dismiss it immediately as whatever. And you can't dismiss it because it just keeps coming back in all these different ways. You know, if you read the lives of the saints, you run into these stories that don't make sense in time or space and are not explainable with empirical causation.
Well, I got
linear
a
time
personal
stuff.
story I can tell you. So that's like this, like space and time and all that kind of thing. Okay. So I one of the things that happened to my husband after he almost died, because he suffered oxygen deprivation because his valve seized. So he had no blood going to the brain.
Mm.
And it was longer than it should have been. It doesn't take much to have brain damage. Okay. And so I thought at first it was from the surgery, from the trauma, from the medication, because he was on these medications at the beginning. But then it dawned on me one day, oh, wait a minute, he suffered oxygen deprivation to the brain.
Mm.
So he has a really difficult time remembering things now. And it's not like dementia. It's just, you know, I'll say to him, can you go and get this? He'll be like, sure. And then he'll go outside and he totally forgets it, comes back in. I'm waiting for the thing. You know, he doesn't bring it. And then I say it and he goes, oh, crap. And he's very aware that he can't remember. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's a point of contention. Like sometimes, as much as I am aware of why it's happening, I still get very frustrated because, you know, I'll remind him several times. He gets really tired of the reminders and then he gets defensive about them. And then, or he'll say, you should have reminded me. So I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, okay.
This sounds disturbingly familiar, honestly.
Yeah. So anyways, we're dealing with that. And this is like a year and something ago. I had a dream that I was swimming underwater with an otter. And I looked at the otter, it looked at me, and we were literally swimming together. I was swimming like an otter.
Mm.
And but I wasn't an otter. And anyways, and I looked at him and he had my husband's eyes. They were Uli's eyes. Okay. And I was like, what the why does this otter have Uli's eyes? I was so confused. And I tried to think it through. It was a short dream. That was it, basically. But the most weird part of it was that he had Uli's eyes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
then, like 6 months later, I'm reading this Substack by a guy that I subscribe to. And he's talking about something. I don't remember what the topic, but this was like an aside in his Substack. And I'm just looking, here it is. And this is what he wrote. And the reason I remembered this was because I was scrolling through my notes on my iPad and I was trying to delete stuff that I didn't need anymore. And I ran across this and I was like, oh, weird. I just realized how weird it was. So I have this dream, and then a few months later, like 4 or 5 months later, I'm reading this. Someone might posit otters as exceptions to this neuroplasticity because otters are astonishingly creative. But what has been discovered is not that otters learn, but rather that they don't remember anything at all.
Wow.
Every time an otter approaches a dilemma, it approaches it as if for the first time. It is precisely the fact that the otter remains stuck in a sort of permanent beginner's mind that it can never advance beyond innocent play.
Mm.
Almost every animal can easily be clicker trained, even humans, but otters are more challenging to train. Otters don't remember the same way or don't access memory the same way many other animals do. Instead, they tend to approach problems as if they were new. Like, okay, I've never heard that. I had no idea that.
I haven't either. Yeah,
And
that's
I
wild.
dreamt this. And I'm like, and I remember reading that and going, and I wrote underneath in my on my iPad in my notes, I'm like, thank you, God, for telling me what this dream meant.
Yeah.
Because we were in that like playful ottery swimming mode, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just dawning on me that like I haven't been out to my tent for a long time. It's just been super busy and I was away. But I went out there on Sunday, spent the whole day there, and I saw 2 otters swimming in my lake, which is not a normal thing to see. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't just see 2 otters out like on the regular.
Right.
I think
yeah.
I've seen in 25 years. I've seen twice. I've seen otters. Once in our field in the winter, belly sliding down to the creek. My dog's in hot pursuit.
Yes.
And then Sunday, I saw them,
Wow.
and then I remember, and then I was just paging through my notes, deleting stuff, and later in the day, and
Right.
anyways, like
All this ties together. Yeah.
well, the reason I'm telling this is because I'm like, how do we know that stuff? Like, so like Grizz said, you know, how does this woman who's not a Christian, right? Where's that? Here. Saint dreams from not even Christians, right?
Yep.
I'm not a biologist. I don't know anything about otters. Why do I dream about otters?
Right.
My husband being an otter. What the heck?
Well, and that woman had never seen Northern Lights either, right? If you haven't been to Alaska. And so, I mean, just to
Yeah. You otter know life is weirder than you've been led to believe.
yes, Grizz, that is a
Right.
fact.
That is a fact.
That is a fact.
And I just keep getting confirmations of that.
Yeah.
And you know what I've been thinking about that as a form of timelessness,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you've talked about this too. Like when I had that experience when I was going home from the hospital after my husband collapsed and everything, I left him at the hospital, driving home because I've got to feed my animals. I got to do, it's like, okay, we've got this emergency, but still life goes on. And I'm driving home and suddenly I think, the angels put your hands like that, Sherry, because I gave him CPR. And I was going, why did I know how to do that? Because I had no clue. I'd never taken a CPR course, right? And as soon as I asked the question, why did I know how to do that? This other voice said, the angels put your hands like this. Okay. So then I come home. I call my neighbor to ask her for help because I'm going to have to be away for a week.
Sure.
Tell her the story. And then as I'm about to hang up, and I was telling her how I was doing CPR, but I had never done it before. And I couldn't figure out why I knew how to do it. Okay. I thought that was really weird that I just knew how to do it. And I was hanging up the phone literally in midair because I have a landline. Okay. I don't have a cell phone, so I don't beep. I just have to hang it up. So I'm like in midair and I hear her go, Sherry. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, the angels put your hands like that, right? She said the exact same sentence. And I'm like,
yeah.
I said to her, "Why did you say that?" But,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it recently, and I thought, I wonder if that was her voice I heard,
Mm,
because because it's already happened.
right.
The conversation's already happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I ran into this. There was a video that kind of went around. It didn't last long, but it was going around, and it was this African woman talking about how African people think about time.
Hmm.
And it was fascinating because,
Oh,
well,
wait.
one, the reaction of, Western people are just like, well, that, because she was talking about there's no future. The future hasn't happened, so it's not real. So we don't worry about it. And the past, you're creating that too all the time. It's not real. So we just live in the present because that's what's real. And a lot of people were kind of dunking on it and just like, well, this is why they don't take care of anything over there, and this is why they don't, whatever. And it was like we've become so like confident about our linear time
Mhm.
and our clock, and that time is mechanistic and that time is linear, and that time, one moment follows another moment and follows another moment, that they just literally couldn't even hear what she was saying.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
she's pointing to, I'll see if I can find the video in here in a minute, but what she's pointing to is Chronos, right? Kairos. She's
Yeah.
pointing to Kairos. She's not pointing to Chronos. We live in Chronos in the West. She was talking about living in a culture that lives in Kairos. Kairos is meaning, where these moments, like you have the Jonathan Pajot explained this really beautifully, and I've drawn on his illustration several times, where we live down in Chronos in the West, where one moment follows another, and we have the clock, and now it's 9 o'clock, and we do this, and at noon we do this, and where we're very governed by the time. But most of that time we forget. Most of that time is not meaningful. It just fades away, right? We don't hold on to it. Kairos is when you're lifted out of that into a moment that is more in the imaginal and more in the eternal,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
will have significance forever, right? So your wedding day, the day your child is born, maybe the day you're divorced, maybe the day, the day your mother dies, the day your father dies. These are times that you will never forget.
Right.
And that's Kairos. And she was talking about a culture of people who live in Kairos, and then the people in the West who live in Chronos first have the audacity to say that she has no idea what she's talking about, and second of all, then feel superior.
Yeah.
Right.
My description for that is always flat and one-dimensional, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where they live.
Right.
They don't live in a fully bodied sense of time.
Right. Yeah. And these kind of conversations kind of remind me of that
Yeah.
that there are those moments in your life where they feel transformational, and it feels almost surreal, where you're not, and you'll just never forget those times. You'll never forget those. I'll never forget the day my daughter was born. I'll never forget going through labor with being with my wife while she was going through labor, which kind of felt a little bit like going through labor, because we did it standing all night long. So she did labor standing while she was gripping onto me very tightly,
Mhm.
and not able to answer questions. She's in a different world,
Mhm.
because it was natural childbirth.
Mhm.
So you know that is just it's one of those moments where my whole life changed. I went from being kind of a terrible husband and not really ready to be a father to overjoyed
Mhm.
with a new
Remember.
little person
Mhm.
who changed my life. It
Yeah.
continues to change my life. You know, and I think that's a much more real form of time than my clock telling me that it's 13 minutes after 8.
I put the link in we forgot again, Jeremy, because we got talking.
Sorry.
But anyways,
what happens?
there's a link right here, and if you click on it, you can join the conversation. Just so you
We
know.
would love it. We would love for you to come and talk with us if you want, but if you don't, that's okay.
Tell us some stories.
I want to see if I can find this video of the woman from Africa telling her experience of time. I see a lot of people commenting on it, but I don't see the actual original video.
Yeah.
See
On
if I
what
can find
video?
it here. The video of the woman talking about time. I see people comment, like doing commentary on it and like resharing it with their own point of view, and I don't want that. I just want the her talking about it. Let's find it.
And there's, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I mean, it's nice to have photos. It's nice to have memory, like that kind of photo that, enables you to have a more distinct memory of something. But like my youngest daughter, I always forget to take pictures because I don't have a phone, and most people just do it on the phone. So they're just used to grabbing their phone, right? I don't have, I have this, oops. I have this. It's a phone, but it doesn't have a SIM card in it. And when my son gave it to me, he gave it to me because it has an SOS on it. But I never take it anywhere, so. But I brought it with me to South Estuary, and but I kept forgetting to take pictures because I just don't have one, But anyway, but there's also something about not taking a picture that you just get to preserve that moment in your mind. And it was really weird because I said to my youngest daughter, who's very much like me and doesn't take pictures, I said to her, Mealy, we need pictures, we need photos. And she goes, oh, right. And then she said to me when she was living with me here, I don't always like taking pictures. I like to just hold them in my mind, Mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I get that.
Yeah.
But as the grandmother.
Right. Well, and I was kind of talking with my brother about this. He's a new father. And because he was talking about all digital and, I don't want physical thing. And I was like, bro, listen to me. My girls come over to the house. They don't sit down and pull up the computer and open up the internet and go to the photo website and look at they go to the shelf and they grab the photo album and they all sit and enjoy it together, and they do it over and over and over and over and over. Do not neglect getting some physical photos printed and putting them in a book, because you'll thank me later.
Yeah. Yes.
When
we have lots of physical photos because, when our kids were growing up, we didn't have a digital camera. There wasn't such a thing. And that's the same with our kids. Like, they love going through pictures. Just love it. Yeah.
So there's an article here. It's, instead of just hearing her talk about it, I can share this article. I'll read it if that's all right. Would that be okay? Okay. In this person's book from Africa, The Shadow of the Sun, about his time in Africa, there is a chapter where he describes his own experience of African time when he enters a bus and has to wait many hours for it to depart. We climb into the bus. Okay, so maybe this isn't the original article. Sorry. Oh no, there's a different place where she is talking about it. Anyway, this will kind of give, maybe that's, I don't think that's what I wanted to share. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Yeah, and he just stops it over and over again to comment on it. So I can't, that's not it. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to keep looking for that for just a second. Because it's very good. Maybe I could find it better on Twitter, actually. Because that's where I originally saw it.
It's funny. I think African time is just like Indian time, we say here in the Chilcotin.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, this will work. Here we go. I found it. So, share this tab instead. Can we see this?
No, not yet. Here, I'll add you.
Oh, okay.
Add to stage.
Yeah, this one. There we go. Now can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Of the future doesn't exist, and that instead of time moving forwards.
Oh, sorry, here we go.
What if I told you that for many African societies, the concept of the future doesn't exist, and that instead of time moving forwards, time actually moves backwards? This was the work of John Mbiti, one of Kenya's and Africa's greatest philosophers, and in 1969, he wrote something that completely reimagines the way we think of African time. Mbiti says time is a two-dimensional phenomenon with a long past, vibrant present, and virtually no future. Using Swahili words, he describes the two dimensions of time. The first one being sasa, the now, the recent past, and the immediate future which can be experienced. The second dimension is zamani. Zamani is the vast, endless past where all events eventually go on to live forever. But the future in African thought, it barely exists because time is made up of events. Time has to be experienced in order to be real. So because we can't conceptualize events tied to the distant future because they haven't been experienced yet, then therefore the future cannot constitute part of time. And this is why, according to Mbiti, African languages, at least the East African Bantu languages that he studied, don't have a word to describe the distant future. In African time, according to Mbiti, events create time. Seasons, ceremonies, a conversation, those moments produce time, and people produce as much time as they need. An example that Mbiti uses from the communities that he studied is that a year is measured based on 4 seasons, 2 dry seasons, 2 wet seasons. So a year is only over when those 4 seasons have taken place. So a year could take 365 days, 390 days. It doesn't matter the number of days in a year. What matters is that the 4 seasons have taken place. And this is in contrast to the Western view towards time, where time is a commodity, something that can be spent, saved, wasted, or lost. And according to Mbiti, this is why if foreigners come to Africa and they see people sitting under a tree, they would remark that, okay, why are these people wasting so much time? But in African thought, that sitting under a tree, it's not wasting time. It's either waiting for time or producing time. For me, I think this Western idea of time as a commodity is what drives this Western obsession of progress, development, and some promised future. And this difference shapes everything from politics, economics, to how we live our daily lives. Because in African thought, the golden age isn't in the future, it's actually in the Zaman. According to Mbiti, the future is only a shadow until it comes to the present, and then it flows into the Zamani. So in that way, time moves backwards. We are not the ones who move forward into time. So of course, Mbiti wrote this from a theological point of view because he was trying to explain the nature of African religion. But my main takeaway from the parts of the book that I've read is that unlike Western cultures and religions with end of the world myths, African time has no end. Seasons, years, birth, marriage, death, it's all a cycle. Asante kwa kutazama, tafakari hayo, and I'll see you in the next.
Cool. That was amazing. Good night.
Good night.
Been reading Votolaskin's A History of the Island, very connected to this. Is that the guy that wrote Loris, Nick? Sounds like the same name.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved that image of the time going back into Zamandi, which is like eternal time and forever, where it becomes meaningful. And it's like,
well, it's like you're always
about
at the edge of a wave, right?
Yeah.
Like you're riding the top of it.
Yeah. And it's cyclical, right? It's just cyclical. And that a year is 4 seasons, right? This is what I ran into. I think I told you I built an app for my phone. This is like
Yeah.
the dorkiest way to try to be medieval that I can think of, and I decided to do it, and it was really fun. I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again just real quick. Where time until the 1500s or so, before that time, like the day was divided into, at least in the Roman Empire. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
speaking from that. Yes, I am Roman centric. I'm Western guys. I'm going to talk about for a minute. So in the Roman Empire, time was 12 hours in the day. The day went from sunrise to sunset, and that was divided into 12 hours. But every day is shorter or longer than the day before it, depending on what the season is, right?
Mhm.
So like right now, the days are getting shorter. And so an hour in the winter time is shorter than an hour in the summertime, right? Because there's less daylight in the winter. And if you just take the amount of daylight and divide it into 12,
Right.
there's going to be fewer minutes, right?
Okay.
In the summertime, if you divide the amount of daylight into 12, there's going to be more minutes.
That's if you're going by actual light and darkness.
Yeah, that's what the Romans did.
Right.
That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. Right.
Okay.
So the Romans, it was so in the summertime, their hours would have, say, 80 minutes or 90 minutes in an hour,
Mhm.
because it was 12, it was just
Yeah.
the daylight
12
divided into
units.
12. Right.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, their daylight, their hour may have been only 40 minutes
Mhm.
or 45 minutes, because they again just took sunrise to sunset divided by 12, right? And so I built that app so that I could pray by those hours. And it's actually kind of astonishing how far away we get from the solar day with our just regular clock, right? Like we think of, so I'll give you an example from today. So my little app will tell me I wanted to pray at the third hour, which is 9 a.m. or what we would say 9 a.m.
Mhm.
Sixth hour is noon. Ninth hour is
3.
3 p.m. Right. So I wanted to pray at those times. There's prayers there's psalms that we read. Well, but I wanted to do it according to the solar clock, right? The solar day. So this morning, my morning prayers, sunrise was at 8 o'clock, 7:56 a.m. was when this started.
Mhm.
So third hour was 10:35, sixth hour was 1:13, and ninth hour was 3:51, and then evening prayers was 6:30. So my whole day only had 10 and a half hours. It didn't have 12 hours
Yeah.
of our time, right? But in Roman time, it was 12 hours. No, I can't. No, I got a couple things I got to do to be able to sell it. And I don't know if I want to sell it. I might give it away, but then I have to support it. And then I have to answer people's questions. And I don't know if I want to take all that on. I might just have a website where I post the times for the day. Or I might make a website where you could go and do it, where you could like put in your latitude and longitude, and it would tell you your prayer times for the day. I might work on something like that.
Well, I want to read you something here that I read out of Anamkara the other day. And will I be able to find it again?
And while you look, what I wanted to mention, what I'm trying to bring out here is this idea that time is linear and that it's fixed, and that it's fixed units of time, is a very new idea. It's a very modern idea, and it's useful in some ways. It does make it easier to coordinate schedules with other people, but in other ways it's very restricting, and it can feel tyrannical at times, which I think is what that African one was pointing at, where it feels like you're losing time, and it's like you're squandering time, and you're wasting time, and it's a commodity. And I thought that was the perfect word to use, is that we view time as a commodity. And I liked the idea that not so long ago in our history, time was way more fluid, and that it was much more tied to the sun and to the sunrise and to sunset. Yeah. And it was much more embodied and connected, and it was dynamic, where every day the hour was a little bit, 12 hours were different every day. Like
And you
that's
were going by the sun, which, I mean,
yes.
living on the land, I'm normally not looking at a clock. I'm normally
Right.
looking at where the sun is. Like
Yep.
where the sun is tells me, oh, I really got to go out and, feed the horses, do the sheep. Where the sun is tells me it's time for evening chores,
Yep. Yep.
And after doing it for like 25 years, I would, and my husband, like when we were visiting somebody, we'd start getting antsy right at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
Time
the
for chores.
light. It was the light out there
Yeah.
that was making us antsy. And we were like, we got to go, because
Yeah.
otherwise we're out, the animals are hungry. The temperatures have dropped as soon as the sun goes down. It's a lot colder in the wintertime and so on, right? I mean, I don't feed in the summer, so I don't have that problem then. But in the winter, yeah, just living by the light, really.
Yeah. I worked with this. I worked with this Native American guy. You'd say, "Hey, what time is it?" And he goes, and he would like go through this little ritual, and he'd like put his hand up, and he'd do this, and then he'd take his hard hat, and he'd hold his hard hat up, and he'd hold it at the sun, and then he'd put his hard hat back on, and he'd tell you, "It's like, oh, it's 1:10," and you're like, "How did you know that?" And he's like, "Ways of my people," and it took me a long time to figure out that he had actually glued a clock inside his hard hat.
That's First Nations humor. It's so fun. They're so fun. Oh my God.
It was great.
Okay, so I want to read you this. The Celtic mind was neither discursive nor systematic. Yet in their lyrical speculation, the Celts brought the sublime unity of life and experience to expression. The Celtic mind was not burdened by dualism. It did not separate what belongs together. The Celtic imagination articulates the inner friendship that embraces nature, divinity, underworld, and human world as one. The dualism that separates the visible from the invisible, time from eternity, the human from the divine, was totally alien to them. Their sense of ontological friendship yielded a world of experience, imbued with a rich texture of otherness, ambivalence, symbolism, and imagination. For our sore and tormented separation, the possibility of this imaginative and unifying friendship is the Celtic gift. The Celtic understanding of friendship finds its inspiration and culmination in the sublime notion of the Anam Cara. Anam is the Gaelic word for soul. Cara is the word for friend. So Anam Cara means soul friend. The Anam Cara was a person to whom you could reveal the hidden intimacies of your life. Hey! The friendship, this friendship was an act of recognition and belonging. When you had an Anam Cara, your friendship cut across all convention and category. You were joined in an ancient and eternal way with the friend of your soul. Taking this as our inspiration, and then, okay, wait, no, there's one more thing here. Oh, darn it. Oh, here. Oh, no. I missed it.
Well, I'll say hi to Joy while you find
Yeah,
it.
you say.
Hello, Joy. We haven't talked in a long time.
Yes, it's good to be here. Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
So did you went to Southeast Jewelry?
Mhm.
How was it?
Yeah, we
pleasant.
just saw each other.
Yes.
So good.
Nice. Good.
We
Good.
did.
I haven't watched any of the reflection or reviews or how to go or what happened or this is what I've learned and this is why I hated it or whatever. I haven't watched any of those videos yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I found it. It's just short.
Oh, okay.
Let me finish.
Great.
Let me finish
Yeah,
this.
sure.
So
Yeah.
he says, when love comes into your life, unrecognized dimensions of your destiny awaken and blossom and grow. Possibility is the secret heart of time.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking about this in connection to that African woman's explanation of Africa time.
Yes.
On its outer surface, time is vulnerable to transience. Regardless of its sadness or beauty, each day empties and vanishes. In its deeper heart, time is transfiguration. Time mines possibility and makes sure that nothing is lost or forgotten. That which seemed to pass away on the surface of time is in fact transfigured and housed in the tabernacle of memory, which I would say, if that's Swahili word, zamani.
Yeah.
Right?
The tabernacle of memory. Yeah. Which also affords it that holiness. Like it's a place you go to worship and remember, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibility is the secret heart of creativity. Martin Heidegger speaks about the ontological priority of possibility. And then he says, when we love and allow ourselves to be loved, we begin more and more to inhabit the kingdom of the eternal. The Anamkara experience opens a friendship that is not wounded or limited by separation or distance. Such friendship can remain alive even when the friends live far away from each other, because they have broken through the barriers of persona and egoism to the soul level. The unity of their souls is not easily severed. With your Anamkara, you awaken the eternal. In this soul space, there is no distance. So I just wanted to read those little jewels.
Well, I feel like I'm sitting in a room of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So any thoughts, Joy? What are you thinking about?
We had this point arise in our estuary breakout group during South Estuary, and a gentleman named Evan Cronus, like this is his name, Evan Cronus, mentioned regarding the chronological sort of linear time, the distinction between that and the kairotic, that Jeremy mentioned earlier, and when he mentioned when he was driving down to work, this time lapse of 45 minutes would be swallowed into this sort of automatic. It would almost be like he'd go into like this amnesia basically, versus 45 minutes of looking into the eyes of his 2-year-old daughter, and how the imminence of that, the immediacy of that, would magnify and exalt into this, how I think of the iconic, which is this slice in time into eternity, which is really this restorative, redemptive view of reality, being in reality, which is
I'm just wondering, like the way that you describe that, the veil is torn in the temple, right?
Right.
And we always think about that as like 24/7 access. We got the doors are open, stores open 24/7, 7 days a week. But what if it has to do with time? Because that the Holy of Holies was only entered into once a year.
Right. And so my daughter and I were just talking about this a couple of days ago. She thought BC meant before Christ and that AD meant after death.
BC
and I was like,
means British Columbia. Don't you know that?
Oh yeah, well, that's Canadian, British Columbia is Canadian, Don't you know that BC, the time, the years that you guys talk about, that's Canadian, eh? Like we invented that, It tastes like maple. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, I was like, well, okay, no, AD means year of our Lord. It's Anno Domini, and it's Latin, and because I said, because otherwise you'd have 33 years there of no time, right? Which is maybe true too, but anyway, I was talking about how, well, what the big insight for her was, the big realization was that our whole year numbering system is centered around Christ and around him entering time. It's like we were counting down to when he enters time, and then ever since we've been counting since he entered time. and she was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and not until I became an Orthodox Christian did I realize that the crucifixion is the creation of the world. Like it's the beginning of time again, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's the beginning, in the beginning.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Again, back to that cyclical kind of looping, the self-referential. You know, the lamb who was slain before the foundation of the world.
Hmm.
It's like, oof.
Yeah. One quality of like a heightened sensitivity that I'm gaining by virtue of living through the liturgical rhythm of the church has been being able to experience the Paschal, the descent, like all of these markers of time in light of the seasonality, like the
They
climate even.
coincide. They
Yes.
coincide.
Yeah,
They do.
yes.
They coincide. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. 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 And creation prepares me to bear witness to
Mhm. Mhm.
these mysteries. And I noticed how sublime these very mundane
Mhm.
qualities that I had been interacting with all life long suddenly were imbued with this cosmological coincidence. You know?
Beautiful.
Like I remember that Paschal morning, like after the first one, when I heard the birds
Mm.
come up with the sun.
Mm. I get it. You
yeah.
know,
It's that
one
line.
of
Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. Right.
well,
All of a
here's
sudden, the birds aren't just like being annoying, or they're not
Mhm.
even just singing a pretty song. They're praising God.
well, that's like in that Father Roman Braga interview, which I watched yesterday again.
Mm.
It's kind of on the regular. I got to watch that one. But there's a
Mm.
moment where there's some geese honking, and he's talking, and he goes, right? Because they're interacting with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are. They're not just
Yeah.
some background noise to him
Right.
at all, you know?
Right.
And like, I remember the first night I spent in my tent after I got my tent up, and it was early spring. It was actually 4 degrees Celsius in the morning when I woke up. It was cold. It was
Yeah.
early. And I was laying in the bed, and this loon was doing its really
Mm.
haunting call. It has 2
Mhm.
calls. It's got this like a laughter, but then it's also got this really haunting one. I'm not even gonna try it. 'Cause I'm not good at it. And, it
Can you
was
try it? Can you
complete
try it?
no. It
No.
was completely silent, okay, outside, and all of a sudden you heard this it sounds like a ghost almost like, "Ooh," and it's plaintive, and as soon as he was finished, all the birds started singing at once.
Oh wow.
Every
Wow.
single bird in the forest just went. I was like, "Oh my god. He turned on the lights."
Mm. Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It was insane.
Wow.
It was so beautiful.
I did
Just
find a video of it if you want to hear it.
yeah, let's hear it. The
Okay.
laughter one. There's a laughter.
Okay, hold on. Uh-huh.
Oh, the whale. Here it goes. It's crazy.
Does he do it again? Do we get another one?
Let's see.
Mm.
That's what he did. And then everybody started singing.
It's
I was like, "Oh my god, he's the
like the
boss."
call to prayer, right? Like he was
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Where did we get these things? You know, do you remember my poem that I read, Joy, at the end of my speech? Because I think this is totally appropriate, actually.
And your speech is posted, by the way. I haven't listened to it yet, but I did see that it's up.
Yeah.
I've
it
actually
is.
had to work a lot this week, so I've been really busy. I haven't been able to listen to much. Normally, I have a pretty light load at work, so I can take stuff in on the side. But today, this week, I've been super busy.
Here it is. Here it's bird bone flute, the oldest known musical instrument made by human hands. A flute made from the hollow bone of a bird. And I mean, when I heard that, it was like
Yeah.
everything poured into me.
Right.
Man trills his song from the bone of a triller. Man created for song, bone created for song, both hollow. Holding us in the green dream of springtime in the dead of winter. There, starved and starved of song, trilling with anticipation, dancing towards an afterlife filled with abundance, life after death. Bird bone flute, the continuous song, because only continuous praise is true. Bird bone flute, eternal one, you make us upright, steadfast as pillars. Bird bone flute, hidden in the body of beauty incarnate, winged ones, angels. The man tramples death by death within bodies of death until the song is resurrected. Winged one, bringer of song, continuous praise, because only continuous praise is true. Bird bone flute. When you were talking about the liturgical calendar and how it's coinciding with the seasons, it's like it's not a happenstance that the man trills his song from the bone of the triller, and that the bone of the triller is made hollow so it can be trilled. Right?
There's this line I wrote too in a piece. All things search for return, all things trill for a return. All things trill for a return. All things ululate from and toward the between, slipping out from the mandorla. Yes.
Well,
trilling, yeah.
The line in there, and I put it in there twice, is because I didn't think it up. It just came out. The continuous song, because only continuous praise is true. The bird is singing and he dies, and the man takes the bone and he continues the song. It's a continual praise, because it's only continuous praise that is true, because that is eternal, right? And so the man tramples death, right? He's in the dead of winter playing his flute by death, because he's playing a flute made out of a dead bird within bodies of death until the song is resurrected. Yeah, winged one, bringer of song, continuous praise, because only continuous praise is true. And I don't mean true as in correct. I mean true as in aligned.
Aligned, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the image of a song being played from the bone of a dead animal, where it's you're breathing life into it. It's the spirit, right? Your breath is, and the best analogy I've found for what I think a person is now is a song. I think a person is a song, because a person, there, we all have our own little favorite chords and chord progressions, and we play a chord and there's like a bass chord that's like the main theme of our song, of our life, that we come back to, but we're endlessly playing variations on it on that, and we may even move and start playing a very different song than the one we started playing when we were young.
Mhm.
But when we meet someone or we see someone again that we haven't seen for a very long time, they instantly know it's us because they hear the song. Even if it's very changed song, they still hear the song and they still go, "Oh, I like this song," or they go, "Oh, here's that song again." But to me, it's the idea of Bach, where he plays this chord and he just plays the four notes or the five notes that are part of the chord, and then he plays a slight variation of that, and then a slight variation of that, and he's moving you through. He's building tension, and building attention by there's a familiar, but there's also an unknown, and you're being carried along, and then he changes keys so the tension grows even more, but he's still just doing this thing where he's just playing the notes of chords that are related to each other, so they're all tied. There's a thematic movement, and you build this tension, and then once the tension is so intense you can barely stand it, he then returns to the original, playing it more loudly, more clearly,
Mhm.
more distinctly, and there's this relief and a recognition of where you started, but it's not the same because of where you went to get there. And I just can't think of a better analogy for what a person is
Mhm.
than a song. Because a song is a pattern over time, right? If you hear one note, you're probably not going to recognize the sound or the song, maybe, but there's a lot of songs that start with the same note. But as soon as you start hearing a small part of it, then you're like, oh, I know this song. And that it just plays out over time. The song is the pattern over time. The song is not just notes. It's also the instrument that's playing the note. It's the interpretation of the person playing the song.
Mhm.
It's the intent of the composer as they were writing the song. All of this is participating. And then there's however you're hearing the song. If you're sitting in a symphony, concert hall with a bunch of other people, that's all affecting the song.
Right.
And just to me, I can't get to the bottom of this analogy, because to me it's like the perfect analogy for what a person is. A person is a pattern over time playing out slight variations on a theme. And
That's interesting. Like I've been thinking about, when I was a kid, I didn't write yet. I couldn't write words. I didn't know how to spell, but I used to write poetry, and my poetry was songs, and I would make up songs, and they would express my feelings. If I was really happy, it would be a happy song, and if I was really sad, it would be this long drawn out sad song. And then when I learned how to write, I started writing them down, and they lost their music. They became poetry instead. But they always retained some kind of like I rhymed for a long, long time. My poetry was rhyming, and I still love rhyming, actually, because when I'm rhyming, I'm singing.
Yeah.
It has a lyrical quality to it, right?
When you're reading something that rhymes, you can't help but fall into the meter.
You gallop also with the rhyme. You move in that way, and I don't know. At least
Well,
I
it helps
do.
you remember it easier too. It's easier to recall poetry that has meter and rhyme. It's way easier to memorize it.
And I read this whole book it wasn't a very big one, but I read a whole book of Rilke's poetry, and I wish I could just share it with you, but it's in German. And it was translated, like, these are books I got at a bookstore, and they're university books, from the 50s. So it's got the German, and then it's got this guy's translation. And these are a collection of the few rhyming poems that Rilke wrote. So he mostly wrote free verse,
Mm.
But these ones rhymed. And here's the thing. You guys are going to love this. They're called, the book is called From the Remains of Count C.W. Okay. So he was given a little chalet to live in Switzerland so he could finish Duino Elegies, which was 10 years in the making. And he had had a long, many-year break from it. And he got there and he wrote several people. So this guy in the introduction quotes from these different letters where he says, sometimes he says, I feel like I'm like the previous owner is channeling his poems through me.
Mm.
Or I sat across the table with Count C.W. and he read his poetry to me and I wrote it down. But in any case, he doesn't claim that it was his poetry and he never liked it. Okay.
And it rhymes.
Yeah. And he published 2 of the poems in the collection, but the rest he didn't want published because he didn't know where they came from. And I'm reading them and they're galloping and they're doing they have all this movement in them, and he's playing with sounds. He's automatopoeia and he's playing with words in German, like to lie down is to, to stand up is to aufstehen, but he says aufstehen and then stehen and legen instead of liegen. And, the dead person is das Liegende, the lying one, but he's, and it's doing all this, and then I read the English translation and it's just like, it was awful. And at one point I actually stepped out of my tent and I had to move while I was reading it.
Yeah.
I had to move with the words, because they were, I was like, this guy is amazing. Amazing. And it just cannot be translated. And the translator's trying to rhyme. Okay. Because that's the point of these poems is they are rhyming.
Yeah.
And then my husband showed up at my tent, we had dinner out there and I said to him, okay, you got to help me here. Cause there's just some German words I don't know.
Sure.
And I'm like, does this mean this? And he's like, no. I said, let me read you this sentence. Does this sound right? No, that's not it. I'm like, I know it. I know it.
Yeah.
And I really want to share that with you guys, but it's in a different language.
Right.
It's so frustrating. And now I want to translate those poems myself.
Yeah. Yeah. My stepdaughter is actually doing a whole presentation on translating poetry and how there's no right way to do it and there's no good way to do it.
You know what? I think
that's her conclusion after thinking about it a lot. She's just like,
Well, here's the thing. Most of the people who translate the poetry try to be poetic. Okay? Rilke is literal.
Yeah.
He's writing the poem and he's playing with the words, the language, the literal meaning.
Yeah.
Right? And
in a very German way, right? Like that's
I couldn't, here's the other thing, Jeremy. I think it was Steiner that said something about the German language being the thing that opens up the eternal realm in the future, something like that. I don't know what he was pointing at exactly. This is like a long time ago I read this from Steiner. But I'm reading this Rilke poetry and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much substance to German, to the language. Like you can talk about the future as the Zukunft. That's future, Zukunft. But he'll take the word künftig or the künftige, which is, it indicates a future, but it's a future one. So it's like where Heidegger gets this already not yet language. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Where you can mash paradoxes together in a word. You could build a paradox with a word.
Yeah, but it's not like German can compound words too, right? So you can
Right.
get a German word that's like this long. You just do
Yeah,
that.
right.
But
Yeah.
these are not compounded words. These are
Oh wow.
really old. Like Zukunft is the word you always use when you're talking about the future. You say, you know, I can see into the Zukunft, right?
Mm.
And Kunft comes from, I'm hoping the linguist isn't listening to me, because this is how I perceive it, and it's more poetic. But it's Kunft means to come. Something is coming towards you, right?
Mm.
Which is what the future does. It's arriving, right? And so the zu means to go towards the thing that's coming towards you. Like that's all in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then das Künftige, you could describe your fiance, you know, as your Künftige, as your future wife, future husband. But in German, to say that they are your Künftige, I mean, if you were, you know, just a very banal translator, not a poet, you would just say, yeah, that's just your future wife. But to a poet, that whole person is your future.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's what Rilke does with the language. He plays with it. He just rolls in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Well, you know, I do have one translation of the New Testament. Maybe I have it handy. No, I don't have it handy. I have one translation of the New Testament. It's done by a monastery in Colorado, and they translate it as literally as possible and as explicitly as possible, to the point where it's a little hard to read in English, and it's so good.
I bet.
Because they're not trying to mask the Greek at all. Right. They're trying to just hold what's there. And man, it has given me some insight into some scriptures that just didn't make sense before.
David Bentley Hart did that with his Greek New Testament, his translation. He brought it down to the street level Greek. Right? But yeah, I wish I could. I mean, I would love to spend hours. I spent hours poring over this poetry. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be reading the English and getting something out of it. Because I'm not, like, I don't speak High German. I can read it, but I don't always know exactly what the words mean.
Yeah.
There was this one word where he describes a human journey as the one who stands up, the one who stands, the one who lies, and the one who becomes the lying down one. Okay? And in German, aufstehen is to stand up. Aufstehen. Up, stand. Stehen is to stand. Liegen or legen, he says, is to lie. And das Liegende, with a capital L, is the laying down one. The guy translated it as down liar. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then he says, and then you, das Liegende verschwimmt. And, you know, schwimmen is like English, swimming. Okay? Because our language is German. It has a German, it's Anglo-Saxon.
German, yeah, okay? Right.
And so schwimmen is to swim. Verschwimmt is, and I was like, is this floating? It feels like floating. And the guy says vanish. And das Liegende, the lying down one, vanishes. Right? I'm like, that's not what verschwimmt means. So when my husband arrived, I'm like, is this what this? He goes, well, it's kind of what it means is it's like a powder on the surface of the water that disperses out.
They have a word for that? That's not fair. That's not fair. That's so good. You need a word for that.
And I'm just like,
so
exactly, because I was thinking floating. I was like, there's something floating here. I just know it.
Yeah.
And the guy says vanish. Well, vanish is like gone.
Right. Disappear.
No,
It
it's the opposite in his poem. It's like it's slowly floating on the surface of the water. Okay. What is water symbolically? It's chaos,
right.
right? It's the in German they would say Ursprung, the ancient spring,
Yeah.
right? That's and you know what that's translated in English? Origin. In German, it's Ursprung, right? Something that the ancient jumping up, right? And yeah, I'm just like
the worst translator ever.
It was
yeah,
the
this
worst.
is kind of you're actually really keying into exactly what inspired my stepdaughter to put together a whole presentation on translating poetry.
Really,
because
I think
of how bad someone can do it. Like just how bad of a hack job someone can do.
And these are
so she's a Latin teacher, right? So she's gaining more and more appreciation for like Virgil and you know,
and the way that you can like really how malleable within poetry language becomes like he's just like so playing with everything, right? Everything I was reading was tumbling into itself and just playing. It was just beautiful. And this guy so totally butchered it. It sounded like I was reading like a medical textbook when I read the English translation.
Oof.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me, I learned a little thing out of Greek where like Greek people say all the time, they're like, if you just learned Greek, the New Testament is so much easier to understand because there's so many, like you were talking about, like ancient spring or the ancient jumping up. All this stuff is built into their language. And the example that they gave that I love the most was they said, you have some of this in English, you've kept some of it. They said, like, okay, so pattern, right, is heavenly is a pattern. And they said paternal, Potter is your father, Potter, pattern, paternal, right? And then you have matter in the bottom, and it's material, matter, mother. So you have Potter and you have mother. You have the Potter who takes the matter and mother, and then, you know, and they're like, see, and you're like, yeah, okay, now I get it. Right? They're just like, this is so obvious. And
Jeremy, I think we have the same disease. We just love words.
Yeah, well,
we
do. We do. We love words.
Yes.
Well, I think I made my dictionary collection complete. I got my 1963 Webster's finally, so we're good now. We're all done.
You know,
speaking of words, I mean, it's like this thick. It's huge.
It's a tome.
It is. Oh yeah, no, it's huge. You know what? Next week I'll bring my dictionary collection. I'll show you a few of my.
Yeah,
favorites.
I'd love that. You're going to have to start reading German now, so you can get a German dictionary.
Yeah, and Greek, right? So.
I just wanted to read you. I got this book. It's also a Rilke book, but it's in German. It's only in German. It's actually in the old German writing. So their S's look like F.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, like our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. They did the same thing in the early documents of the founding documents of the United States.
You just have to take the time to get used to it, and then after that, it kind of computes. But
that's one of those awkward truths that most Americans don't want to talk about.
In the front, there's a little inscription here. December 1961. Dear Dawn, of all the things I saw in Germany that I could send home to you, I felt Rilke would be the best gift.
Oh.
Please enjoy these books and read them to me when I come home, Betty.
I will have to say, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my whole life. It's one of those moments, one of those Kairos moments that I will never forget, is sitting down in my lazy boy recliner, and my daughter sat in the lazy boy recliner next to me,
Mhm.
and she read to me Jonathan Peugeot's rendition of Jack and the Beanstalk, and I fell asleep.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful.
It was so magical. It was so beautiful. I woke up the next day. I'm like, that is one of the best things that have ever happened to me in my life.
Oh, love
My
it.
daughter read me a story until I fell asleep.
And Jack and the Beanstalk. Well,
Yeah,
and
Jonathan Peugeot's Jack and the Beanstalk. Right?
I love it.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
What are you thinking about, Joy?
Oh my goodness. Well, firstly, I'm feeling warm, like very warm, somatically very warm. And as you were talking about the connection between etymology and the linguistic pool out of which words are
Mhm.
formed,
Mhm.
and how that informs the way the words interact. I think about the languages that I grew up speaking at
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
and the kind of consciousness. Initially growing up, I was sort of conditioned into believing that it was sort of an impediment, or
Mm.
having that ability to relate dualistically was sort of um, an obstacle or something like that. Or
Yeah.
but as I've come of age, I realized how immense of a gift it was to be able to view and live in the world through both sensibilities that I was endowed with growing up, both within the Western, or like the modern frame,
Mhm.
and the West African frame, if you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can also take those the words that you have in Ghanaian, for example, and
Mhm.
translate them into English,
Right, right,
right? Like,
right.
t I'm sure it's like this for you, because I think it's like this for anyone who speaks a second language or has a different mother tongue. There's a lot of times you'll be in a conversation and the only word that comes up is the one that nobody will understand,
Mhm.
because it's the best descriptor for what exactly you wanna say, and it doesn't exist in English, for example. So then
Mhm.
and unfortunately, English forces you to make some kind of, like, descriptive phrase to translate it, where it'll be a word, I'm just assuming Ghanaian has this too, right? Like, you have a word in Ghanaian, but you have to make a sentence in English to get the meaning across.
Mhm.
And
Sorry, go ahead. I'm
well, I
just
just
connecting majorly to what my stepdaughter was talking about with poetry. So go ahead. And then
well, I just I think it gives people an advantage because they can go places with their language with their language in English, because they tend to be probably more metaphorical, more poetic, because they're doing this little translating thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, well, one is my wife does that with Turkish too. We'll be driving along.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah, it's like," and I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, how do I say that?" And
Yeah.
congested, I guess. Like she was
Mhm.
talking about
Mhm.
traffic. She's like, "There's a perfect word in Turkish for this,"
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
my stepdaughter was talking about how, like, when you read ancient writing, and so she's a Latin teacher, so she primarily sees this in Latin, and she was like using the example of, like, when we talk about spirit and breath and wind,
Mhm.
we have those three different words, and they're kind of related, but they're definitely distinct, and she's like, but when the ancient writers used that word, they meant all three at the same time.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's what makes translation, like, so hard, and it's so confusing for Americans to understand that it's all three at the same time, and they're not. You don't have to pick one. You don't have to pick which one it means. It means all of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and she was using like she also used like glory and horn and hair and light and shining. Like those are all one word in Latin. You know, and it's like, you know, and she's just like, and it means all of them. Like when you see Moses with a statue with horns, that's a sign of his glory, because Michelangelo spoke Latin, and so a horn was, he came down from the mountain, he was filled with glory. Well, they said that with horns because they're the same word.
Yeah.
In Latin, you know. And you know, it's really, it was fun to see her have that insight, because she's
So that is, let me
yeah,
just throw this in here, Jeremy. That is the word made flesh,
yeah,
right? In the statue. Okay.
Yeah.
So he
Right.
turned it into a person, the word, and that's how it looked.
yes,
You know, like I didn't read that thoroughly. I have to go back and read it, but Jordan Daniel Wood wrote a piece about incarnation and creation, and I skimmed across it pretty quickly, but at the end I just wrote, I've left a comment even because I'm like, yeah, I know what he's going to say anyway. But anyway, I just wrote, word made flesh is poetic relations, and we denature everything, right?
right.
Like that's just something that I just keep seeing over and over again now. How that's kind of the spell of duality. And is this denaturing thing, right? It separates, you know, that like Jonathan Pajot put it in the language of symbolism, right? Symbolos means to throw together, right? Word made flesh. Those are two separate things, words and flesh. A person is word made flesh. Okay. So, and
pattern and matter.
And here's the other thing. Okay. What is, I wanted to ask you this, Jeremy. What is the name of the bread that is served at the Eucharist? Like, what is the name of that? Is it prosopon?
Yes. Prospera, yes.
Prosphora or prosporon?
Yes. I don't know. Hold on. It's a good question. And I was thinking of Andiron, which is the bread that they give afterward. I'll look it up. I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, Prospera.
Okay. Then it's not worth retelling. But well, I could ask this question, because prosperon means person in Greek. It's one of the earliest names for person. And it comes from the mask that actors wore. Right?
Yeah. Right. Persona was your face. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's prosperon. P-R-O, pros.
Oh, in Greek?
Greek.
Yeah,
and
so in Latin, it's your person means face. Your persona is your face. Right?
So I'm just wondering how related prosphora and prosperon are, because
prosopon. I think it's prosopon.
Prosopon. Yeah.
Yes. Face or countenance. Yes.
Yeah, but it means, according to John O'Donoghue, it means person. It's one of the oldest known words for person.
Person, yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, is that the bread? Because I knew it started with a P, but I didn't know the whole word. So I was just thinking, is that the bread? Because wow.
No. So yeah, that is interesting. Prosopon means one's face or mask, which is persona in Latin, which means face. What I love about this is that you can't see your own person.
No.
You can't see yourself. You don't know yourself. That's why, like, looking in a mirror is so weird.
This is Douglas Harding. Douglas Harding, his whole thing is he says to do this experiment where you point at something, right? So I point at the computer and I say, I can see my finger and I can see the computer, right?
Yeah.
Or I point at the ball of wool and I can see my finger and I can see the ball of wool. Then he says, point at yourself. You can see your finger, but you can't see what you're pointing at.
On having no head.
On having no head. Yeah. That's my next trick. I'm going to read that 800-page tome that he wrote because it just keeps calling to me, that thing. The footnotes are like, the side notes are just like amazing.
You know, you were talking about denaturing. It reminded me, I listened to a video of Jonathan Petro's today, and it's an older video that he did, and it was just a little clip of an interview. But somebody said, do you wake up in the symbolic worldview? Or is it something you have to ease into? Or does it happen sometimes and not other times? He's like, I feel like I should be there more, but I'm not there very much. And Jonathan said, well, the fact that I have to explain it means that I'm also alienated with you. If we were living in it, we wouldn't be talking about it, which is why the church fathers don't talk about it. They don't talk about the symbolic worldview because they were living in it.
Yeah,
so it was like, what is water? Right? That is asking the fish, right?
Yeah.
What is water? And the fish is like, what's water? So he said, so the fact that I have to explain these things does mean I'm also slightly alienated with you. He said, and unfortunately, because then the guy interviewing him said, yeah, I kind of think of it like telling a joke, but then explaining the joke as you're telling the joke. And then by the time you get to the end of the joke's not funny anymore because you understand the joke. But it's not a joke anymore because you explained it as you went.
That's a big problem.
And Jonathan was like, that's the perfect analogy. He's like, yeah, unfortunately, I have to do some classes on how comedy works. Because people just can't get the jokes anymore when they read ancient literature.
Honestly, like I joined when the Symbolic World Discord came out. It was really early on. I joined, and I was talking to people there, and I felt really discouraged. I felt actually sad because they were talking too much. That was my problem. I was like, no, you guys are saying too many words. It just needs, like, I said this in my talk too at Southeast Area, I'm going to let the stories speak for themselves. And I don't want to explain them because I hate that.
Right.
And I don't see Jonathan doing that really. He gives you little like markers, little
he points at things,
get you along the path. But then if you, like, I was in book studies, I was in discussion groups on that server, and I would sit there with people who were like up there, on the symbolic world and in the symbolic world. And I'm like, you guys are just talking too much. Like it sounded like the symbolic world version of two theologians. You know what I mean? And semantics. And I was just like, no, this is not right.
Yeah,
I could see a danger there actually. In that.
The Greek word, the Greek word mystery just literally means this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like the Chilcotin people, and this is not just the Chilcotin people, but this is years ago. My sister told me this, that secret means sacred. It's the same word in Chilcotin.
Yeah.
Sacred means secret. So it's yeah. It's amazing.
Catechumens depart, let no catechumens remain.
I never even got into my thing about church governance and creedal incompleteness.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh well. That'll take way too long.
I did share that link to the video, so we'll have to check it out.
You see, this is my bigness. It's all connected. Do you want to know how? And people are like, not really.
They're like, shh.
I'm good.
Mhm.
Well, you know what's funny? I was talking with my wife about it, and I said, you know, I've come to the realization that like while women are sleeping, they're getting a download of like spiritual wisdom, right? But they can't say it, and because they can't, they just don't know how to say it. But men are talking about it, but are never able to say it either, right? Because they're trying to say it, they're trying to find it by saying it, and women know it but can't say it.
Yeah, so what you're saying is women say nothing and in doing so say everything, and men say everything and in doing so say nothing.
Correct. Yeah, no, I have no argument with that. That's right. That's right. That's
Wow.
right.
I mean,
Well,
I remember thinking when I was a young woman, I was like, I was raised that women were evil, they were sluts, they were gossipers, women are bad, they tempt men, they need to be covered up, you know, all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm like, oh, I never want to be a gossiper, you know?
Mm.
And I'll always wear pajamas. These weird, you know? And then I get out in the world and I'm like, men gossip all freaking day long.
yeah,
That's all they do.
right.
Just
Yeah.
talk about people all like I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a wake up
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
And then I always went back to the woman in Proverbs 31.
Mm.
She's in the house, she's selling the vineyards, she's weaving the tapestries, she's hiring the maidens, she's giving birth to children. And where's her husband? He's at the gates gossiping.
I had this talk with one of my godsons. I was like, look, because he was like kind of been out of shape that his wife doesn't pray with him, you know? And I was like, okay, dude, listen to me. Okay. Like when the baby cries at night, who gets up? Who gets up? Mom gets up, right? I said, I need you to understand something. That is prayer. She's praying because she's getting up. She's not thinking about herself at all. And she's caring for a little baby, your son. That is her prayer. So you have some praying to do if you want to catch up to your wife. You need to stand in front of your icons, you know, most of the day if you want to catch up on how much your wife is praying, brother. And he's just
there was a woman in my estuary group, and she was talking about that. She was talking about prayer as braiding her daughter's hair.
Yes. So I go in the prayer room and pray, and my wife is making a blanket for a woman in the parish who's having a baby, and she's saying the Jesus prayer.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's how it is when I'm knitting or spinning.
Matushka Olga, right? It said she was constantly making something for other people.
Yeah.
That's prayer. This is what I was trying to get through my godson's thick skull. It's like
it is.
That is like you're doing something for other people. You're not thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about, oh wow, my life is so hard, I need to pray about it. You've lost yourself in making something for someone else.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how is that not prayer?
Wow. For me, that puts into context all the hours I spent as a small girl tucked between my mother's knees as she would just comb through, you know, like Sherry, for the first time when she saw my hair, was like, oh my God, it looks like wool. Like it looks like my sheep's wool.
Watch out, I'm going to start spinning it.
And this is like, that puts into context all the hours since I, was first growing hair as a small baby, that she would just dedicate her fingers, her little fingers that have been, all across the world into my, head. All the devotion, like the devotion
Yes.
she would pour into me.
The care.
Lord
The
have mercy,
ritual
yes,
too,
the
right?
ritual.
Yeah, the ritual of caring for you, and
Yes.
yeah.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
wow. Yeah, I have a lot of prayer to do then too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hope maybe you'll have your own kids someday, and you'll be able to
Yes.
start
Well, that's
racking up
why
some time, right?
it's why Matushka Olga wanted to be buried in her wedding dress.
Mm, yeah,
Wow.
that's nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we just ran through the gamut. I think we really needed to talk, Jeremy. It's been like
It's been a while, yeah. Well, enjoy. Oh my gosh, like your life has completely transformed since the last time I saw you. Like you're a different person now.
that's what I told her.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Yes.
see. I can see how much you've changed. It's very beautiful.
It is very beautiful.
Hello, good night, y'all. Hello and
Yeah.
good night.
Yeah. We did lots of holy kisses, me and Joy. It was really wonderful.
Good,
Mhm.
good, good.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to have to go.
Mhm.
Me too. My alarm goes off early.
Jeremy
Mm.
has to go to bed. I always have to send him to bed. He just never wants to go to bed.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. I like going to. I like sleeping, but the
Mhm.
process of going from here to sleeping is very difficult for me.
Really? When I
Yes.
first started eating the way that I eat, I'll refrain from being, preachy about it.
Yeah.
But when I changed my diet, I would be like, I usually would fall into bed at like 9:00, 9:30, just exhausted. And
Mm.
then I would have insomnia.
Mm.
Then I would, sleep for a while, and then I'd wake up in pain, usually,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff, right? And I changed my diet, and I would look at the clock and be like, oh my God, it's 11. I'm never going to survive tomorrow, because I always needed like 10 hours. And
Yeah.
I'd go to bed and I'd lay down and I'd be like, oh, am I going to be able to fall asleep?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like that. And I'd
Yeah.
open my eyes and it was like 7:30. And I'm like, I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
been like that ever since.
Oh, that's good. Well,
Every
I have
single
been taking creatine, which does help with that a lot.
there you
It's
go.
a similar effect. Creatine comes from meat. Well,
Mhm. Yeah,
we
it's
synthesize it, but it's something. It's like energy. It's for your mitochondria. It's really great, and that has helped me.
my
So I
mitochondria
actually
are
don't
so
need as much
happy,
sleep.
Jeremy. I'm getting younger.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
They're just super
No,
happy. They're always
I
partying.
generally actually fall asleep usually about 15 minutes is all it takes. But I do frequently wake up in the night, and I realize that it's because I need to pray. So I do that now. I just get up and pray because that's the best time to pray. It's the best.
Yeah, it's fine.
So my guardian angel wakes me up at almost exactly 2:30 every night, and we go pray for a while, and that helps a lot.
I slept in the tent on Sunday night, and my husband and I had a fire out there.
Mm.
We have a campfire out there. And so we're sitting around, and it was like 6 degrees Celsius, which is above zero, right? So it's
Yep.
warm-ish.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
we're
like 50.
yeah, and we're kind of like, wow, this is great. So then we went home because I had to feed the dogs and I'd grab a few things. By the time I got back out there and I drove out there with my car, which I can't do now because there's snow on the ground, but I went out there and the temperature was like 3 and then 2 and then 1. And by the time I got to the tent, it was 0. It's gonna be cold tonight. And then I woke up at 3:30 and I went outside and I just stood there and it was like the Milky Way. And Orion was just blazing over here. And the Great Bear his tail was almost like in the lake,
Mhm.
And I was just like, there's no words. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
there's not even a prayer that comes out of your mouth. Like, it's just, you're just there under it. It's
Yeah.
like being with the saints in the sanctuary of the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my sister was telling me that Chilcotin people say you shouldn't stare at the stars very long because you'll go crazy.
Yes.
And I said to her,
there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said.
really?
The church fathers counsel against looking in the sky too long.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Chilcotin people too.
Well, that's where the creatures of the air live.
Yeah. Well,
And they will trick you.
I said to Tracy, it must have been because there were guys in the tribe eating magic mushrooms and just going, have you seen that, man? Look at it.
It doesn't take mushrooms.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. No.
No, it doesn't. And honestly, I can't do it long either. I just naturally can't do it long.
Yeah.
And then I went back in the tent. Yeah. But I'm hoping, as long as we don't, like, if I was to get like 20 centimeters of snow, my tent might collapse, and that could happen while I'm sleeping at night,
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to try to keep it up all winter.
Oh, okay.
Because this is going to be so much fun. There's a phenomenon that happens in the early winter when the lake starts to freeze, where it sings. The lake sings.
Mm-hmm.
And it does boom. It does all these noises. It's incredible. I want to try to record them.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I've been there.
We hear them at the house. Like, I hear them here.
Yeah.
And one time my husband and I, the first time it happened, because we haven't had the lake that long, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were out there, we had a fire, and it was getting dark, and it was starting to get cold really fast. And that's when it happens, right? In the early, before you get the thick ice.
Right.
And suddenly I heard something screaming on the lake, like an animal in distress. And I'm like, oh, it's a deer. It's caught in the water. I have all these scenarios.
Yeah.
And I'm running along the lake, right through the woods and the snow. And my husband's behind me going, wait, it's the ice.
And you're like, no, it can't be the ice.
But it sounded like an animal in total distress.
Yeah.
It's so amazing, Joy. And I said to my husband, I want to sleep out here while that's happening. I want to hear it like close up. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I don't think I told you I'm going to Iceland in December. Speaking of staring into the sky too long, my daughter wants to see. No, my daughter. So we kind of did a tradition where the girls get to pick a vacation for kind of their graduation or their senior year or whatever. And my daughter chose she wanted to go to Iceland. She wants to see. Well, her request was she wanted to see the Northern Lights, and it was either Finland or Iceland, and she chose Finland. Or I mean, she chose Iceland. So
that's gonna be amazing.
So, yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be really fun. So
wow.
So we're gonna go see some.
Cool.
When the
Northern Lights.
Right before Christmas. So
soon.
Yeah, in December. So I don't want to get too specific, but.
I have my first trip to a monastery coming up.
Really?
My first ever trip.
Where are you going?
This will be up in New Skeet Monastery, over in New Albany. So, New York. It's a beautiful.
I think I've heard of it.
Yes, it's truly. I've never been to any monastery. So
you'll love it.
Yeah, they have.
Is it a women's monastery or a men's monastery?
Men's and women's, I believe. They sort of. Yeah, I don't. I've never been to anything.
How long
like
are you going
that.
to go for, Joy?
It'll be a 3-day trip with some of the youth there for the first time that I'll be with them. But there are many monasteries that have been recommended to me for like a longer stay. So going to that one first to meet Sister Rebecca, who is one of the nuns who comes down to our parish and serves us intermittently. And so seeing her face will be, my body is looking forward to this.
Oh yeah.
So that's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
It really is. It's like stepping into an icon. That's what's happening when you're going to a monastery. You cross that threshold and you've stepped into an icon.
Did you know that Joy's painting icons?
Yes, she sent me a picture of one, and it was
Amazing.
I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
St. Paisios. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So there's so much that has shifted since, and maybe I'll join you all again. And it was good to see you all together.
It was good to see you
So
too.
nice to
Yeah,
have
I
you.
want it. I do. I would love to hear more of the journey since the last time we saw each other.
Well, let's just do. Sorry, audience, but
No, go ahead.
let's just do a private meeting.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
That'd be really fun. We should do
Yeah,
that.
that would be good. I would like that.
We
I would
should
like that a
do
lot.
more personal stuff.
Really good.
Yeah. That was 50 worlds ago. I can tell already. I can tell by looking. I can tell by the icon. I can tell by the icon that you sent me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way my mother looks at me nowadays. Like, are you crazy? Like, it's like a good, she's in disbelief, really.
Is she?
She kept asking me today, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Are you okay?
I imagine it's a little disorienting for her because you were in a dark place for a long time.
Yeah.
And she got used to that, and so now
Glory
it's just
to
like,
God.
I'm sure it's a little startling.
It's what we do with ourselves too, though, right, Joy? Like we self-check, am I okay? Because you lose trust, you lose faith, you lose faith in yourself. I know I did, and everybody around you also has lost faith in some kind of consistency or constancy in your life. And so there's lots of self-checking going on. The old cliche is we pinch ourselves, right? Is this real?
Yeah. No, that's insightful. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well, let's go. Don't stare at the sky too long.
I'm going to read a little poem that I wrote at the
I would
tent.
love that. Sounds great.
I sit reading while you, like a wild-eyed painter, playfully splash pinks and yellows across the sky. I bend dreamy-eyed over a book. Yet I feel you painting the newborn canvas outside my tent. I know this because, as in the light, so in the shadows does your art flit against my thin walls.
The thin walls of the bird bone flute.
Thin walls of whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you are a song, so.
Yeah, that's right.
That means you have to be thin enough to vibrate.
Little membrane.
Yeah. Trill. The membrane trilling.
Yeah, that's right.
See, I listen to you. I pay attention.
You
think I'm just gawking off in them.
You got a gold star today.
Yay. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
been a
Olga
pleasure.
really blessed our episode today. Thank you.
Yeah. So her commemoration day was yesterday on the new calendar. So and it was like November 9th or 7th, something like that. I can't remember on the old calendar. But anyway. So yeah, maybe we have the intercessions of Matushka Olga. So it's very beautiful. Anyway, thank you both for your wisdom and for your company. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, really. We'll see you again soon.
God willing. Thanks.
Good night, all. Good night, Joy.
Good night. Good night.